let's talk about Japan. So my most popular videos on this channel is always when I talk about my experience traveling as a Black woman in any country, because people are always curious to know what are the perception of Black people around the world, especially a woman traveling alone. So that's always after a few trips when I have something to say. I always make this kind of video, which I really enjoy making. So just a reminder that the mission of this channel is to inspire the women to travel the world solo if they can and not wait for anyone, especially people who are like me, like in working corporate, can afford it and should really not let anything or any fear stop them for doing so. So that's really like the main goal of this channel. You don't need to be a digital nomad or a backpacker to be able to travel the world. We're going to structure in a way that the first part is my experience as a female traveler, solo, being Black, Bali. And the second part, I want to kill some myths that I heard before traveling in Japan and also resolve some answers that I had and some worry that I had. So I want to answer this question for you to have an enjoyable trip. So what was my experience as a Black woman traveling in Japan? First of all, from a general observation, I didn't see many Black people there, but also is to note that I was traveling during the winter, and we are Black, we don't like the cold. So that's probably the reason why I didn't see anyone. But I think maybe if I remember well, I probably saw a couple of people in Tokyo, which is a big city, of course. And in Osaka, maybe one. I don't know. I just didn't notice any of them. But I think it's more seasonal. It's more of a seasonal thing because I've seen plenty of vlogs on YouTube with Black people traveling in Japan. So it's just like maybe a circumstance that I didn't see any myself. If I experienced any racism in Japan, nothing was obvious, to be honest. Japanese people are very welcoming, very nice. I even got some gifts from Japanese people. They're like very curious about oh, where are you from? And then where I'm from is very complicated because I always have to tell my whole life story. Like a parent from Africa, grew up in Belgium, now live in London. Sometimes I just say I'm from London because this is where I live now and this is the longest place I've been. And I get so many arguments with people about that. I say I'm from London. I was like, yeah, but your accent. I mean, I'm just from London, and I had a massive argument with some white guy when I was in Mexico once, asking me where I'm from. I'm from London. I didn't want to speak to him. He's like, obviously you're not from London. You don't have an English accent. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you some kind of Trump supporter or something? Crazy people. Anyway. Back to Japan. So the Japanese are very nice. So they ask it in a polite way. They say, oh, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from London. And they are like, yeah, but your parent? Okay, African, yeah. And then after a while, I start saying, I'm from Congo. Because it's the truth. I'm Congolese. I'm from Africa. It's what people want to know. Then that's it. But after that, they try to make a conversation. You use Google Translate, and they give you a gift. I have so many nice gifts from Japanese people. I've had some food. I've been invited to some tea ceremonies. I received a Japanese flag pin. I left it over there. I should have bought it anyway. But I received a Japanese pin, a mini kimono. So they're super nice. After a while, you have a conversation, and they give you a gift. And also, what I did appreciate about the Japanese, not like in other places, they didn't try to touch me or to touch my hair or nothing. And men as well was really respectful. They probably stare at you for a while, but it's fine. It's just, it is what it is. I'm a woman, I'm a foreigner, and it's a novelty to them. So, yeah. And actually, what I also want to raise is it's not the Japanese people who are the weird one. There's a lot of Australians actually during the winter in Japan. They go there for skiing, and when I experienced people being a bit weird, I was in a bar in Golden Guy, and then there was I was entering. Golden Guy is I didn't really like it because it's very touristy. And Japanese, of course, you're the Japanese bar owner that just want Japanese people in the bar don't want foreigners there. So when you go to bars where foreigners are accepted, you end up with other foreigners, which is not the case. And if actually a tips that I can give, if you want to be with Japanese people, go to Harmonica Yoshoko, very welcoming, local, in small bars. Like there you can really have authentic Japanese experience. So back to the story. So I was entering the bar, and there's like the bar was full, and there's like this Australian couple there, like looking me up and down, like I'm a disgusting, like kind of worm or something. So I sit in the corner, and then at some point the people next to them leave, and these guys, they don't even like invite me like to sit next to them or something. Like it's just like this nice American couple that entered in, and they were like, "Oh, come on, why are you out there?" And you can see like the chill in the back of this guy with this girl, like of me sitting next to them. So that was like, yeah, that was a bit of a weird situation, but I don't care. Like uneducated people, this is what you have to deal with. So I don't have time and energy to deal with that. And but it's not all Australian, because in Osaka, I was in a bar, I made friends with a super nice Australian guy. And even in Tokyo later, I partied with some fun group of Australians. So it's not all of them, they're just idiots everywhere in the world, and it is what it is. Like, so yeah, closing the chapter, but I would say that in general, Japan is very safe for solo female traveler, and if you're a black traveler, there's no worries to have, except maybe for one or two Australian that are super idiot. Except on that, yeah. And in terms of safety, there's one thing that I would say is super safe. You can walk out at night. Of course, don't go to dodgy alleyway. And in Tokyo, be a bit more careful because in this area, like Asakusa, where it's known like to have been pickpocketing, because it's very, very busy, very congested area, and it's very easy to just steal something. So yeah, except from that, very safe country, the safest place I've been in the world, probably Japan. It'll be number one. Now it's gonna be part 2, where we are talking about the Japanese myth that I want to kill, and yes, a bit, yeah, must-know tips that you should have when you travel to Japan. So I was being asked, there was a myth saying that Japan is boring in the winter. I didn't think it was boring. Actually, it was great, because it's not the winter like here in London. It's grey, it's depressing, it's raining. It wasn't at all. Like I had 14 days, maybe one day of rain in Kyoto, but I had 14 days of pure sun. It was cold, of course, but when it's sunny, it's like so much more enjoyable. Like, and also less crowd. So you didn't need to queue for any restaurant. You didn't need to queue for any activities, but also activities, you can jump the queue. I use an app called Klook, which is the best app to book Japanese activity in Japan in English. So it's very easy. You just book it on Klook, and you even get perks like free eSIMs and things like that. So I really, really recommend that app. I put a link in the description below if you want to use it. Or you can also use Get Your Guide that I used to, for example, the food tour that I did in Osaka in my last video. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm going to link it below. This food tour, I had booked it on Get Your Guide as well, because it just makes things easier. So yeah, winter, amazing. Go in the winter. And there's also another myth that the winter is boring because everything is closed. I was there 31st of December, 1st of January, 2nd and 3rd, and things were open. Like plenty of things were open. You don't need to go to the most famous spot. Like maybe little local eatery will be closed, but the rest of the main attraction or any food that you need to find was open. So unless you're in a small village somewhere, it'd probably be closed. But yeah, that was my experience. Winter, amazing. I'll go back in the winter. Actually, next time I go to Japan, I'm gonna go to Hokkaido, because I heard this is really fun over there. So yeah, winter, I completely advised to go. So Kyoto is very, very packed. Yes, that is true. It's a myth. It's not a myth, but it's also, when I see this video talking about Kyoto being very packed and you cannot do anything, I didn't feel like it. Yes, it was packed, but also very peaceful, because just of the atmosphere of Kyoto, and so magical. So there's a sense of calm, and yeah, and everyone is feeling the same. So the crowd is not going to be aggressive, or everyone lets you take a picture if you want to. You just need to be a bit patient. And they also said to go early in the morning, but obviously everyone has the same idea, so it's still back in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I don't go on holiday to wake up at 6 a.m. So I was going for sunset to the temples, and it was absolutely fine. Like, yeah, I would say you don't need to wake up early if you don't want to. Especially, like, also I'm a photographer, so I should probably wake up early to get picture with other people. But is it really the reality of things? No. Let the people in the picture sometimes, if you can. There's another myth saying that Japanese people are always quiet, that you have to be quiet in the metro, in the subway. Well, not in Osaka. In Osaka, they are not quiet. They are in the metro screaming and they are Japanese, and they are drunk, and they are misbehaving in the metro. So I would say, yeah, of course, it's in general quiet, but of course, nobody's speaking the phone or anything. And I can understand why Japanese get angry about these foreigners, like doing these TikTok videos. But actually, I didn't like that guy. That's another thing where they say, oh, Japanese are racist, going back to racism. They are not racist. This guy was black, of course, but he was acting like a monkey. And I think when the Japanese news was saying, oh, he's acting like a monkey, directly he's been linked to racism. It's like, no, why you do that? Even if you do it in London, I will look at you, I was like, why are you acting like a monkey? I'm like, I'm sorry, like, what are you doing? And read a bit about the culture before you travel somewhere and then do this stupid TikTok video. We don't need this, okay? So no, we don't need this kind of behavior when you're abroad, because Black people are already like marginalized, and don't make it worse for us. There's always an idiot that make it worse for everyone else. So yeah, that I didn't really like. And also when they say, oh, you cannot eat and walk like Japanese people, everyone was eating and walking. I'm not saying that that's why you should be doing it, but I read a lot of Japanese forums, and people are very overwhelmed about prepping their trip to Japan and really scared about what they should do and not do. It's all about common sense. I mean, like, you eat something, don't throw it on the floor. There's beans everywhere. So, there's not beans everywhere, but there's been like next to vending machine or 7-Eleven, or keep your trash with you. Just be respectful of the environment. But don't get too hung up on when you read actually on travel forums. That's all I want to kill this myth about. So there's always queues around restaurant. That's not true. I didn't notice that. Maybe because it was the winter, there were some places with queues, but it was not the queue where you're gonna wait for 2 hours. It was not the case at all. So if anything, I would really recommend to go in the winter then, because then you won't be queuing for a restaurant. And I don't know what restaurant you're going to, but there's plenty. If you want ramen, they tell you, oh, you go to this place, you wait for 2 hours, it's the best ramen you ever had. If you're coming from the West or any other country that is not Japan, of the ramen, any ramen that you're gonna have in Japan is gonna be amazing. So don't waste your time and waste your holiday queuing for some kind of food. Travel and transportation acts. Which airport is the best to fly into? I would say if you're already in Asia, in the region, take a regional flight to Osaka, because that airport is smaller and is super efficient to get out of the airport. There's not many international flight. I mean, like transatlantic flight landing in Osaka. So the amount of people is reduced, and you get out super fast. You have the Shinkansen there that takes you straight to Kyoto, and then from there you go to Tokyo if you need to. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, you think that you're wasting time landing to Osaka, but actually you don't. And you can do that loop. You start in Osaka and you finish in Tokyo. So definitely, I think it's the same thing. So if you can, land in Kansai Airport in Osaka. Secondly, if you should buy a Japan rail pass, unfortunately the rail pass is very expensive now. So unless you are moving every day, going to another city every 2 days or something, then probably take it. But if you are a slow traveler, like I tended to do, because I love Kyoto so much that I extended my trip there, then you don't really need a rail pass or a regional pass. Regional pass can actually be cheaper. I did take a regional pass because what I did, I landed in Osaka, then spent New Year's Eve in Kyoto, and then went back to Osaka. Like I needed to see a few things, so I took a 5 days, the 12,000 yen pass. But if I was just staying in Kyoto, I probably wouldn't need it because then it's 200 yen here and there for to travel around the region. You don't really need the pass. And then I just went to Nagano and then Tokyo, where I didn't really need a pass there as well. So it depends the way you travel, but just be cautious and do maybe some budgeting before that. Actually, my next video is going to be about budgeting. What I spend in Japan, the reality, expectation vs reality, right? So if you want to see that video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. The best way to pay for transportation is Suica, the Suica card, and you upload it on your mobile phone. I would say it's the best. You just tap in and easy like that. You can also buy it on Klook. You can buy a pass on Klook, but then Klook you have to go try to find the instruction or how to read the QR code. It makes it very difficult, I find. The essential app to be downloaded when you go to Japan, there is the earthquake app. I forgot the name of it, I'll put it on there. So it's an earthquake warning app that tells you when there's an earthquake and when to go to get some shelter. It's very useful, and they give some alert in the news about what's going on around Japan. Klook, as I said before, if you want to book activity, is the best app. It really was the best thing I had used when I was in Japan. Erelo, if you need an eSIM when you're abroad, so you don't need to buy a SIM card and you are directly connected when you arrive in the country. Currency converter, of course. I use XE. Will tell you how much you're spending, so you're a bit aware of your budget. And Google Translate, the best. But I've been told like to download it offline, but I tried when I was in China. I downloaded Google Translate offline because in China you can't use Google, and like for the first maybe half an hour the VPN really don't work, but then at some point it works. I'll make another video about it. This is a long story. But I was trying to translate and it wasn't. And luckily this Chinese person had a phone, another translation app or something, and then was talking into it so we can communicate. But yeah, be careful with this. Now you can download it offline, but when you do, it doesn't really work. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did something bad. And Uber, they have Uber, but it's not going to be any cheaper. And I think Go Taxi is a bit more accurate. So I use Go Taxi in Kyoto and Osaka because there is a bit cheaper than in Tokyo. I don't think I took a taxi. I took a taxi in Tokyo just to go to a train station because I had a lot of luggage. So from my hotel to Shinjuku, I took a taxi. It was more expensive than it should be, but not hundreds of dollars neither. So it's not Thailand prices, it's not the Southeast Asia prices. Let's put it like that. But it's also not London prices. So where to stay? Try to stay a bit outside of the city center. So for example, in Osaka, I will recommend to stay in Tennoji, because Tennoji is on the Osaka Loop line and is coming if you're landing in Kansai Airport. You is one stop and then you're in Tennoji straight away. So I think it's really good. Really good area, super well connected, and there's a lot of things to do around this area. It's also next to Shinsekai, which is the entertainment district of Osaka. And when I was in Tokyo, I stayed in a hotel called Art Hotel Shibuya. It was not in Shibuya, it was just one stop away from, it was Utsedai, one stop away from Shinjuku. I know it's called Art Hotel Shibuya, but it was in Shinjuku. And it was in the residential part of Shinjuku, but you can get a bus or one stop and like in the midst of it. So yeah, if I recommend that. And and in Kyoto as well, you stay in that street with all the shops, but just a bit behind. Don't stay in Gion because it's very busy and very expensive for eyes, I find. So and these my hotels were between 30 pound and 60 pound a night. So yeah, pretty reasonable actually. So yeah. And how long to stay in Kyoto? I read that in a lot of forums that people don't know how long to stay in Kyoto. You need at least 5 days. Like I said, like there's so much to do in Kyoto that you cannot just do it in 3 days. And I was so glad I had the space to extend my trip. Otherwise, I would have regretted it. And it's so beautiful. It's like one of the best cities in Japan. And of course, a lot of people are going to comment, oh yeah, there's better cities than Kyoto. Yeah, I know. But for a first timer, I'm like targeting the first timer. Yeah, for first timer, for me, it was the best city. And I'm looking forward to go to other places that's supposedly better than Kyoto. So looking forward to see them. There's one place I recommend, but not really. It was Nara. Nara, I think the mistake I made, lesson learned there, is where you can play with the deer and feed them cookies, and they are very cute actually. But I got there like after 11 a.m. and the deer were not interested in my cookies at all. So when I see this video about the deer being bowing and being very needy of the cookie, like the reality, again, another thing, Instagram versus reality thing. Expectation vs reality there. Like the deer was not interested in my cookie. They were like overfed, they had enough. And maybe it was also the 2nd of January, I think, the 3rd of January. And I think they've been also overfed through the New Year's because there's so many people that go to the temple during the New Year. So that's probably the reason why. And talking about temple and New Year's and tradition, you have to give money and make a wish and like that. So I think it's interesting to do, and if you believe in it, you should do it. But when you arrive in Japan, you can purchase this book where you get stamp for every single temple you go to, and sometimes you have to pay 200 yen, 500 yen. You think it probably goes to a good cause, but I've been told by at least 3 Japanese people that this money doesn't go like towards the maintenance of the temple, because the temples are maintained by the government. But there's like this big family of monks that benefit from that money. So I'm sure it's good to have it as a souvenir, but don't spend every single day like giving money to make these wishes. So yeah, that's something that just to be aware of. What about the best viewpoint in Tokyo? Everyone thinks is Shibuya Sky. It is nice, like I'm gonna say, but there's so many other rooftop that you can go. And the one that I really enjoy was Roppongi Hills. It's also an art museum. There's a bar there with a 360 view of Tokyo. And I would recommend actually to go there. If you don't want to pay for the tower, go to the bar at the Hyatt Hotel. If you can spend that money, but I guess actually it was not even expensive to go. No, you know what? Skip that. Don't go to Hyatt Hotel. It's too expensive for a drink there. Go pay the 10 euros or 20. I don't remember. I'll put the price on there to go up and have an amazing time. I would recommend going at sunset. And on a clear day, you can even see Fujisan. So yeah, really good. And in another tower that I recommend is Arukas 300 in Osaka. Is the tallest building in all of Japan. 300th floor up, like literally 360 views of Japan. Amazing place. I really had a good time there. And that was another place where I didn't see any tourists. So maybe a top tip for you there to go and to Arukas 300. And this is right next to Tennoji Station, as I was mentioning before. Tennoji being like a cool neighborhood. Other question. What is a realistic daily budget? So I went with the idea of spending 50 pounds a day. This is a total average, even including accommodation sometimes. Including accommodation, we are like maybe a 75. But it didn't happen. So this is 10,000 yen I'm talking about. I would say If you're a first timer, it's 15,000 yen. Unless, and I'm talking about people who are like me, who have a job, traveling, are there for a short time. I'm not talking about someone who's a digital nomad or a backpacker in their 20s. I'm talking about people in their mid-30s with a job who have saved up to go to Japan, so they can afford it. 15,000 yen. This is the minimum, I would say, because you're gonna do shopping, you are going to socialize, you're gonna go to karaoke, you're gonna make Japanese friends, you're gonna go out, you're gonna do excursion, you would want to see everything. So yeah, just be realistic, don't be cheap. Japan is to be experienced to the fullest. And another thing as well, when coming to this point of you want to do everything, but it's not gonna happen. So a big lesson that I learned, because I'm a trailblazer when I travel, I just like go. You can't do that in Japan, it's too tiring. I was like averaging 20,000 steps a day. It was really, really tiring. At the end of my trip in Tokyo, I just wanted to chill. It's like, I can't do it anymore, you know? So, yeah, there will always be another time to come back to Japan. So don't try to do everything. That's an advice that we have to give. But Japan, top 3, if you ask me what are my top 3 countries, after 50, now over 50 countries, After over 50 countries, if you ask me my top 3, Japan is definitely up there. So, So I hope this video helped you to plan your trip a bit and be less anxious about traveling to Japan. The next video is about budgeting. What did I spend really during almost 3 weeks there? So looking forward to that. So if you have any question, put it in the comment. If you have anything that you don't agree with, I'm waiting to hear from you. But as usual, thanks for watching. There's another video about Japan up here. It's the Japan series, or up here maybe. And as usual, thanks for watching and live inspired. Bye.